Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 23rd of July, and this is Indexer Office Hours 167. For those who are new to Index Office Hours, and great, we do see some new faces. Yes, we are two away from 169. Is going to be a fun one. Very much looking forward to it. For those who are new to Index Office Hours, this is the town square for Graph ecosystem participants to come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. As always, this is a conversation and we love participation. So please do get involved via voice or text. And if you're having any challenges with using voice, let me know and I will get that sorted for you. And just as a reminder, this is a call that is going to be recorded and posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you are concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's exciting agenda. So, as always, we give a shout out to the latest GRT IQ episode, and today is no different. Today we have GRT IQ episode 178 with John Belizaire. Oh my God, I always struggle with people's surnames. Maybe I should just resort to saying people's first names. Uh, who is the CEO of Soluna Holdings, which is a pioneer in green data centers. And those data centers are designed for batchable computing, and they utilize renewable energy in those data centers. That's a lot of words. But if you're interested in renewable energy, and how that could be used in the context of um, uh, 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 batchable computing, which I'm yet to understand what that is. Do check out that episode. He also talks a bit about his background in entrepreneurship and his vision for crypto and Web3. Um, that is me right now. That's a great gift. Struggling to
You know the
pronounce.
guy, right?
Yeah, I've seen that video. It's hilarious. Like he's struggling to. Yeah, that's me right now. Yeah, so do check out the episode. Yeah, I appreciate the confirmation, Nick, on pronouncing the surname there. Um, okay, cool. Well, uh, Juan has posted the episode there as well as the agenda, which I do appreciate. And with that, let's get into today's Repo Watch section.
Thank you, Abel, and hello, everyone. Okay, today on Repo Watch, starting as always with execution layer clients, we have had new releases of Aragon. So we're going to start with Aragon version 2. So this is the last release, version 2.60.4, which just contains some improvements and bug fixes that allow for graceful exit from consensus layer downloading stage. Then, more exciting, we have finally had the first release of Aragon version 3. So this is version 3.0.0 Alpha 1. So some important things you need to know here. Aragon 3 requires 64 gigabytes of RAM and it runs Golang 1.21. It supports almost all RPC methods and networks except for Mumbai. Some key changes that you need to know about is that you need to sync from scratch without re-executing all history. It has a smaller chain data and the ability to store state on fast disks and history on chip disk. There are some known issues with this release that include performance problems and an it get logs field index always being 0. And something really important, you cannot upgrade from Aragon 2. You will need to do a full resync. I'm just going to quickly check the chat.
One more thing I
I
would like to add on 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗧 v3 is that you cannot sync a bunch of subgraphs, including unit swaps, from scratch with it. So think twice before you switch to it. We're actively trying to find the root cause. I opened an issue on the GitHub of the graph node stack, and I'll keep you guys posted. And
Thank you very
also regarding the 64 gigs of RAM consumption thing, I don't think that's valid. I think it's probably something they mistyped or whatever. Because I'm thinking I'm at Chainhead with Gnosis, and it's on barely using, like, actively using 8 terabytes. Sorry, 8 gigabytes. So should be well within limits.
Thank you, Payne. I was just gonna ask you because I knew you were running it. If you had anything to add, we appreciate you running it before we do. Okay. Next, we have had 2 new releases of Firehose Ethereum. So version 265, which fixes bugs in block fetcher and another bug that causes substreams to hang. And then version 2.6.6, which bumps substreams to a newer version to prevent no-op handler from sending outputs to stalled step in cursor. Then we also have had a new Nethermind release version in 27.1. Really important here, this release is a mandatory upgrade for all nodes operating on the Gnosis chain. So you need to update this to ensure correct node functionality. And this fixes improperly enabled pre-warming blocks on Aura and OP chains. Then we have had a new Heimdall release. This is 108 beta, which is a maintenance release, which just adds a new status endpoint to the REST server. Then on consensus layer client, nothing new this week. On graph stack, nothing new this week. And we have a small announcement. Recently, we, like the GraphOps team, has decided to merge Launchpad office hours into Indexer office hours. This is to create a more cohesive experience and engage more of the community. So some of the things you can expect is the regular updates that we're doing as part of every single LOH will now be included bi-weekly into IOH, and I'll do that in a moment. And we'll also run in-depth segments as and when they are needed. So for those interested in more detailed discussions, we'll have longer and more detailed segments, and those will include topics such as infrastructure, Kubernetes, and Launchpad. If you have any questions, please let us know. And with that, I will briefly talk about the latest Launchpad updates before handing over to Juan. Okay, so on the Launchpad stack, on Launchpad charts, we have released new versions of Aragon, Arbitrum Nitro, Lighthouse, and Subgraph Availability Oracle. And then on Launchpad namespaces, we have new stable versions of Ethereum namespace, Gnosis namespace, Polygon, Arbitrum, storage namespace, monitoring, sealed secrets, and Ingress. And there are some big changes coming to some of the Launchpad charts that we'll talk about in the next few weeks. I will briefly check the chat. Okay. With that, I will hand over to Juan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anna. Oh, a BMW just broke, it appears. Okay, so for Protocol Watch, we don't have much to cover this week. Again, for forum governance and research, there's no new updates in last IOH. The same is true for the network subgraph releases. We are, pretty light on the agenda today, but we do have a small update for a PR that's open on the contracts repository, which is just a chore to add some mnemonic configurations for the data edge itself, so the data edge contract itself. That is pretty much all that we have in the Protocol Watch section, and I don't see Paka around, so I'm gonna send it over to Abel now.
Amazing. Thank you very much. That was a very light one indeed. And yeah, really appreciate you sharing the recent update that we're going to be doing with LOH and IOH. So yeah, appreciate that, Anna. Okay, cool. Well, as many of you know, we have a chain watch section where we have the good fortune of bringing on people who represent the teams for which the graph, or the teams behind the chains for which the graph will be supporting. And today we have the linear team, who will be joining us today, telling us a bit about what the chain is, how it works, how to best support it. If you have any questions about it, where to go, et cetera, how to run nodes, tracking. And this is going to be a phenomenal venue to be able to ask questions to folks from the linear team to get your questions answered. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Clemens to the stage to tell you guys a little bit about Clemens. Sorry, about Linear.
Hey, thanks for the intro. I'm Clemens. I'm actually a solution architect for DIN, a decentralized infrastructure network within Consensus, but I know a lot about Linea, and I'm also joined here by Diana B, who is an expert in Linea, so she'll be able to answer any technical questions. I have some slides that I could share if you want to go through that way, or we can just chat, have any questions. As a heads up, Linea is a L2 ZK-EVM with type 2 matching, so we have, I believe, full EVM equivalence, and if you want to see that, it is kind of a matching all the way to gas calculation. I believe that's what we are today, but Diana can correct me if I'm wrong. And also the other unique thing is that it's built on top of Besu, which is built within Consensus and given to the Hyperledger Foundation, so that is a Java-based Consensus as well as execution layer. So execution layer is Besu, and then Teku is our Consensus layer. But yeah, any top level questions? I would say that the L2 is attractive, similar to all of the other talking points. The two that I would say are the most relevant are this equivalence for the EVM. So no need to switch out or change many of your smart contracts, and also the fact that it is connected to Besu, so fairly low level to Java and implemented quite closely. Diana, I don't know if you could talk, but anything you wanted to add to that? You might have to turn off the push to talk feature. And the arrow, just move it to voice activity. That was what I did.
Do you want to try that now?
Yeah, it looks like Diana's unmuted, but we don't hear her.
It's Diana B, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just giving her the ability to go from push to talk to voice activity. So do you want to try that again now?
Diana, you may also need to change your input device if you have a different.
Yeah.
We don't usually use Discord, so.
That's fair.
In
the meantime, we've got a couple of questions coming through. First one's about Aragon support for Linear. Maybe you want to address that while we're trying to get Diana sorted.
When Aragon support? That's a good question. I believe we have both Geth and Besu, but I don't know. I don't know if it's on our timeline. Diana, do you know if that's on the horizon for additional client? I'm guessing that's for debug.
Just a quick one, Diana, if you can hear us, it might be worth killing the Discord app and then rejoining the call. because I've just given you some permissions which should be able to allow you to speak without push to talk, but they may have not. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds good. In the meantime, we have another question from Matthew asks, how well does the stack run on bare metal, no Docker? New releases are published on GitHub, question mark?
Yeah, I believe we have full updates on GitHub for the consensus Linea 𝗨𝗂𝗂. So this is the open source. And I believe our pull requests are that's interesting. I thought they released their notes, but maybe it's directly on the Linea site. They have their updated docs. Maybe it's in the. That's a good question. Where do we push our releases? It's like that you can't seem to find what the latest updates are. I know we do have like a roadmap as well. Maybe Diana knows. Diana, how are you doing with unmuting? I wonder if it's in the status at all, if we do any updates here. Casual maintenance, but no push notes. I can get back to you guys on that. Any other? Oh, there's release notes. There we go. There it is. Yeah, any questions about how it works, or if I should go into kind of a general breakdown of the roadmap, I can do that as well. Feel free to look through the slides.
I'd say let's go a bit deeper because it's always good to go deeper to get questions. But we do have another question in the meantime, if it hasn't been answered already, which is, will Linea support high Geth version v1.1.14.0 or higher?
That's a good question. One dot. Sorry, I'm just trying to look for the question so I could see the not on the roadmap. Okay. Diana's helping by texting, by messaging. Oh, Geth version v1.14. I thought it does support
I think the reason why they're asking about that specific version is that there's a bunch of stuff added for Firehouse support in the upstream Geth, and it would help all the indexes run the stack better. But Zoo, on the other hand, does not support those things.
Got it. Okay, we can take note of that just to help with the graph support as well. Yeah, this is where I was looking for. Yeah, again, happy to dive into any of the generic things, but I feel like the group here might be fairly advanced. But this goes into the ZK rollup, specific reasons for focusing on 𝗨𝗂𝗂, as well as the way that we do our interproof system at a high level. There's different decisions that we've made with Vortex. Diana is not. So maybe for Nick, I could talk about kind of the high level 𝗨𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗀 types of proofs or where it gets to. Let's see if Diana's getting any luck. Not necessary. Good.
Do you happen to know the difference in size between the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗃 version and the 𝗨𝗂 client?
I do not know the difference in size. That would be... Maybe Diana knows the... I would assume the snapshot of 𝗨𝗂 would be bigger, but not...
Yeah, well, snapshot or like active directory size, basically. Like, how big is the archive? I'm not sure if by snapshot you mean the 𝗨 equivalent of that snapshot they're sending with the torrenting sites. I know Vince, I think, posted that it was like around 1.2 terabytes a couple of months ago, but I think that's 𝗨. Curious how big is the 𝗨𝗂 client. And correct me if I'm wrong, 𝗨𝗂 is based on Java, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
I don't recall correctly. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know where I could find the size. I was actually looking also for the number of nodes that we have up and running. I know that Infura runs a majority of them. But what would be the full... There might be a Dune dashboard, 1.2 for the 𝗨𝗂 archive. Terabyte.
Okay. So I'm guessing that's smaller than current 𝗨 size. Can you confirm, Vince? Because you said this was 1.2 terabytes in April. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Really helpful. But yeah, I mean, at some point you should start looking into integrating with Aragon. Because, for example, you get... Wait, Mark, does it support Aragon already?
I think so. I have it running, unless I'm on
Really?
some weird work. I think it works, yes.
Okay. Alright. Well, that's very encouraging.
We did it. We solved for it. It's all done.
Do you know if that's Aragon v3 or v2, Mark?
V2.
Okay. Have you tried with v3?
No, not yet.
Alright. Can you do you mind sharing your environment variables that you run it with?
Sure, I'll paste it in the chat.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything that I can dive into? I didn't even know we had this Dune dashboard.
Do you mind copy pasting that Dune dashboard link to the chat? Thank you. Oh wow, so the difference in size between 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗳 and 𝗨𝘀𝗀 is like night and day difference. 𝗨𝘀𝗀 is 176 gigabytes and 𝗨𝘀𝗀 is 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 is 176 gigabytes and 𝗨𝘀𝗀 is 2.2 terabytes. So 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 won by more than 2 terabytes in size difference. I'm really curious how oh yeah, thank you so much, Mark. I'm really curious how much it's gonna improve when you run it with 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 v3, because that also cuts the size requirements in more than half. I think around a third of the actual size. So it will be around like 60 gigabytes, which is hilarious. Yeah, +1 to that, Vince. Is there anyone else here besides Mark who's running linear nodes?
We were trying to get more settings to pretty much the input device, output device, input mode. That's as far as I got.
Oh, by the way, Mark, I see you're using the canonical 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 version, is not even the OP 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 one, so I guess it's fully compatible with 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀, which is very surprising. You don't normally see L2s being this compatible out of the gate.
Yeah. Honestly, I was a bit surprised how simple it was to get it running. But yeah, obviously, I don't understand very well the ZK consensus mechanisms.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Vincent, I was more or less saying that maybe we needed, like, I thought we needed like an actual separate version of 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 built from scratch for this to work. But yeah, Vince, I can add it to InfoDAO docs later today or tomorrow, because I need to set one up anyway.
How long has InfoDAO been around?
I think half a year, maybe more.
Okay.
I think a year since it was first formed, but it was not incorporated yet at that point. Because I know they also participated in the MIPS program for the graph early on, when we just added a bunch of new chains to the protocol.
Cool. Is there a roadmap for, is it just adding as many new chains as possible?
I think
What's the-
𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 can fill you up with all the details. Unfortunately, I'm not part of it, so, or maybe Vince. But yeah, I know they have plans to expand, not just on the CIP side for the graph.
Sorry, I was having some connection issues to connect with my microphone. Yeah, we started over a little around like 2 years ago now. Like it was before MIPS, and MIPS it's already 2 years since we started MIPS. So it's been a while, and
Wait,
we
2
don't have
years
any.
since we started MIPS? Damn, I'm
Yeah,
old.
yeah, I know, I know. It concluded in the spring of 2023. So it's more than a year since we concluded the MIPS program. So yeah, it's been a while, and yeah, we don't have an official roadmap, but we are working on R&D projects. We are working on extensive testing, reporting on new chains, um, on new data services, and on like decentralizing components in the graph ecosystem. Some of them you already know will be decentralized, and we're also looking to be a backup and make sure that everything is every network component and also like auxiliary components that are necessary for the network to function. And we are looking to decentralize that by having InfraDAO and other teams work, like have their own instances of that. So that would be, for example, IPFS. There's been some issues with that over the last few days. Some of you have already noticed those issues, and InfraDAO and PNX and other teams will be working on like improving that. So yeah, I see Matthew is also on the call. He's been working closely with us on the chain integration process, making sure new chains are ready to be added to the graph network with indexing rewards. So we were also the ones like investigating and looking at everything was okay with Linear before we moved it through the process and sent a report to the council for voting. So that's the short of it. Happy to come back later with more concise information as well. Who was it that asked?
Oh, that was me, Clemens.
Yeah. My DMs are also open if you're interested in learning more about InfraDAO, what we're doing. So, but yeah, I'm always here at IOH and happy to talk more about InfraDAO at a later occasion as well.
Okay, so Mark mentioned there is an initialization step that needs to be performed first to create the Aragon DB.
Yeah, that's a common step you need to do on any custom chain or any chain that is not natively supported by Aragon. I'll try to track down the command. I'll send it to you.
All right, that would be awesome. Which other chains are natively supported by Aragon? Because Gnosis is not. They had to do a bunch of stuff and like add things to upstream. Polygon for sure is not, because it depends on Bohr, which it depends on and that they had to like have a team from Polygon to actually work on this. BSC is not supported by default. How come Linea works? Like, that's just weird to me. Because it doesn't seem to be very standardized thing. Aragon, I mean, itself. Because from what you posted there, you just changed the network ID and you fitted a bunch of boot nodes. That's about it. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'll make sure I include that in the docs.
Yeah, happy to answer any more questions. Or right now, there's I don't know if people have kept up to date, but the SCN, there's more Linea things happening. And yesterday we just released Phosphor, which can now be minted directly from MetaMask Portfolio. So all of our products within Consensus are starting to work together a lot more. So it's minting from Portfolio through Phosphor to Linea with low fees. Things are looking good.
I've been typing in chat, but just to make it verbal, we're trying to get Diana's audio to work. So I'm currently DMing with her back and forth to try various things. So apologies for the delay there, but we'll hopefully get her live soon.
That's okay. There's a lot of pressure on what she'll say. It's fine. Think of something epic just to kick it off.
No, I'm just sure that people have tons of questions that they want answered. In fact, what would be a good idea, a good use of time is uh, if there are still any unanswered questions or folks have any new questions, just feel free to type. And then once we get her live, then we can just kind of fire through all of them or try and get it sorted via text. Pesky Discord. It's always a little bit frustrating. Um, are there any unanswered questions? I realize there's a couple, but I want to make sure that we get to all of them. What could be a good use of time is perhaps maybe while we're getting set up, and also to spark more questions, Clemens, is to um maybe go into a bit more detail with the slides that you have. I think it's fair to assume that some people may have some understanding of linear, but it may still be quite high level. So going into a bit of the weeds there, with some of, like, for example, the ZK stuff people mentioned that they're not too familiar with. So seeing as you have quite a bit of knowledge there, it would be awesome to go through that.
Sure. Yeah, so where should I start? I guess I could okay, so the main goal obviously is for layer 2s and layer 1s to kind of operate the same in many ways, right? The hard part is to get the full equivalence of your language in bytecode and not inject some other new language or rewrite your Solidity or convert it into Cairo and other languages. Yes, I heard Diana.
Hello.
Yes,
Hi.
you're here.
Woohoo! That's
Sure.
awesome.
But shall we continue with the presentation? Because maybe the presentation will answer a lot of questions, and then we can do a Q&A.
Yeah, sounds good.
I know, say things. Yeah, so with that goal of getting to full type 1 equivalence, what we've done is a different approach. From, I guess the closest would be to scroll, which also has its own 𝗨𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃. But as a roll up, you're trying to create your proofs so that you can reach type 1 as soon as possible. And if you want to see kind of the types of 𝗨𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃 and what it means to be in each type layer, I believe this is from Vitalik. Kind of the early days, thinking about, well, is it fully compatible? Can you share the infrastructure? And as you go further in, does it look exactly the same? Like, is the state tree, pretty much set at the same? And perhaps how can we take less time to generate proofs within this? So we are getting towards the fully Ethereum equivalent side of things, and I think we're getting quite close. Diana, did you want to add anything to our choice of Besu or to our roadmap goals for Linea? I know we lost you.
Was it for me? Why did we choose Besu? It was easiest way for us to proceed and deliver faster, right? Because it's in our ecosystem and we have a very tight collaboration with them. So it was very easy for us to tell them what we need and what we need to develop, and for them to deliver we asked. Yes, at some point you mentioned, yes, you can have like reading nodes that can sync with Linea, indeed, but what is actually delivered by Besu are the internal parts, not only a node that is being able to sync with the work.
Yes. Is there anything you can add about kind of the interoperability with more clients or kind of along the roadmap of getting additional, I don't know if there's additional methods that people are looking for, or for syncing, faster syncing?
I think there are several questions here, right? The other clients, yes, we support them, but not by design. They just work. And if we plan to have more client diversity within the Linea network, that's not yet on the roadmap. Currently, there are other things that take priority. One of them, very important for us, is decentralization, and client diversity will come.
Yeah.
This
Oh, go ahead.
This will not break current compatibility we have. So let's say you have an Erica node, you will still be able to think. But maybe you will not be able to run, let's say, validator. We will centralize and people will be able to run validators. We won't be able to do that.
Yeah, I think right now most of the L2s, their sequencers and validators are centralized. Is that what you mean by decentralization, or just more parties running nodes across multiple clients?
Yes, I'm specifically referring to block production, right? Or block validation. Yes.
Right. So there's a comment saying that the block production is done on the Besu side, and then Geth and Aragon would sync to the chain, or
Yes.
yeah.
What I can say, we had an altered version at the very beginning when launching. We had an altered version of Geth that was doing what Bezu is doing now, but it was not vanilla Geth. With vanilla Geth, you will be able to retrieve the data new blocks. That's enough, right? If you are an RPC provider and you an archive nodes, you don't.
Yep, I think that's more than enough to have indexes running with those.
And I'm thinking mostly of as you said, the size of the archives can grow. It will be increasingly hard to manage.
Yeah, indeed. And we're already seeing some issues with some chains, for example, Arbitrum from that's
Polygon.
like 15 terabytes in size.
Would have said Polygon.
Polygon is also 14 terabytes with Aragon is 14 terabytes.
Yep.
And well, luckily Aragon v3 reduces that to 4 terabytes, so it's a cat and mouse game. Oh, 16 terabytes for Arbitrum, lovely. Yeah, I've chatted with them at ECC. They told me to harass them every week until it's done implementing with either Aragon or Reth. So that's the plan. Every week I'll just pop in their Slack channel and start tagging people.
Do they not do like pruning at all for in order to get the or you're saying that archive node has everything, so it's
Yeah, we can't prune the archive. We need all the state at every block basically, and the only way to do that to optimize the size for this thing is to run better clients. Because for example, Arbitrum right now is running with Geth. Well, it's a fork of Geth, which gets really big over time. Right now, the growth rate for Arbitrum is 7 terabytes per year. And it all needs to be very fast NVMe storage for it to make sense. So you can't just offload the DB to hard drives, because it just won't work.
got it. And any other questions for Diana now that she can speak freely? Diana, are you working on anything fun, interesting for upcoming releases?
I don't
Nothing
know.
we can discuss.
Not really. What we have, what will be very interesting that will be delivered soon is the 100% over. That will be a new milestone for us, and the biggest milestone that is coming is the decentralization, and I've not figured that out completely yet. That will be very interesting. Currently, during the summer is a little more quiet, and we are now undergoing NFT voyage, so not really rolling out changes.
Okay.
One important thing is that I see you have there a diagram. So yes, we have nodes that are in charge of this generation, and currently this is handled by the altered version of Geth that we have. It is going to be soon replaced by the nodes. We are kind of moving on using more and more Besu, but we will still keep the compatibility with Geth, and we are even running Geth. We call them edge nodes. Edge nodes are nodes publicly available for people to retrieve the new blocks and connect to linear network. Run your own node. So we will have that for Besu and Geth.
Are there any docs on the edge nodes?
Yes, there are. They are currently being updated, and I'll share a link once they are ready. They are still to be built, but they will be ready soon. But we do have some older nodes, but we are preparing brand new nodes that will be let's say in multiple regions, so that you can ever to your location.
Would be really nice if either of you guys could chat with the team that's maintaining the Geth part. Maybe they can get it updated to the 1.14 version, so we can get some better support for Firehouse. I know your guys are moving towards using Besu, but it would really help us.
It will be interesting to see how you use it and what are the requirements that you need. So yeah, we can definitely reach out and propose this support of the Geth client.
Do you actually know if there's a different version for Geth to support Linea, or is it just because what Matthews and Mark are writing in the chat right now is basically I don't think you need a specific version of Geth, right, to
No, you don't.
Okay, so if it's just a canonical version of Geth, then it's already there.
Yeah.
Same thing with 𝗟𝗀𝗀, which is awesome.
Personally didn't test 𝗟𝗀𝗀, but if you tell me it works, then great.
Well, Mark says it works. I'm gonna find out tomorrow. Okay, so Pinax apparently is using the canonical version of Geth for Linea Firehouse, so that's perfect. And Mark says he got 5 subgraphs synced with 𝗟𝗀𝗀, so it also works with 𝗟𝗀𝗀. It's perfectly fine.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah, that's great news indeed. I'm super excited for any chain that supports 𝗟𝗀𝗀 out of the box. It's just perfect.
Are there any other requirements or nice to have that you would like to get from Linea? And diversity, 𝗟𝗀𝗀, I don't know, any methods?
I think with the support of 𝗟𝗀𝗀 coming by default, we will also have access to the trace filters, basically, that I'll build into 𝗟𝗀𝗀 itself. So, assuming those things work, we should be all good, I guess. it's already more diverse than any other chains that we've added lately. So, like in terms of like client diversity, that's perfect since it supports native Geth and Aragon. One thing Vincent pointed out, we need to be careful about subgraph divergences, and if there's any like different data between Geth, Bezu, and Aragon when you sync the subgraphs. That's something we can test and report back. But assuming there's some issues that, well, I guess it depends on which client they happen to be on. Because I'm just curious who's gonna fix those things if it's, say, on Aragon and you guys are not maintaining, but at the same time it just works by default. I guess it falls onto Aragon's team.
And it also depends where is the subgraph, who offers this, who maintains it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think it could also be graph node issues. There's probably plenty of those that are still left to be uncovered. So yeah, but
Linea does run graph, but it runs on Geth node.
okay, so at least we have a point of comparison. If you guys are running Geth, we can run on
Yes.
Aragon and compare the two with the same subgraphs, basically. But I guess given that the nodes are like not that big, we can just run everything locally and test it out and report back. Because I'm very curious if there's any discrepancies in data between the two or three clients. Is there any snapshots publicly available to be downloaded, by the way, for the Bezu client?
Not yet, as far as I know, no. So far, but I don't know if there has been any request of such snapshots being available. I don't think it would be much work on our end. We already have them. Currently, we don't have them, but it would be maybe a nice feature to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would be really nice to have them because, yeah, sometimes you probably just need a quick check between different clients, basically, and without having to wait for 2-3 weeks to sync it from scratch. Would be nice to have it downloaded once in a while to have it stored locally. I'm planning to run to have a backup solution available for other indexes to download stuff from, but I need more bandwidth here in Romania, and I don't have that much.
If I'm not wrong, other networks upload them to S3. So
yeah,
say
depends on which networks, but yeah, most of them are uploading them to Amazon S3 storage. Able 3 gigabit per second is not much bandwidth. Well, local network is fast, but I cannot ship you my hard disks with UBS.
Got it, makes sense. Amazing. Clemens seems to have left, but he's mentioned that he appreciates everyone's time.
I don't think there's anything else to be discussed. The fact that it's compatible out of the box with Aragon and Geth makes it so easy to run. And I guess everyone here should run and support Linea just because of the size. You can fit it on a USB drive.
There you go. There you go. Okay, cool. Well, if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to type them in the chat and we'll follow up on that. I believe there will be, yes, POAP is always in the agenda and the window should be open. We have a funny name for today's POAP, which is I hope this works. Because we generally do hope this works. We did reach out to the team and they mentioned they were having issues. So let's see if this one works. Hopefully it does. Yeah, I'll try myself as well. It hopefully should work. But yeah, as always, POAP is always in the agenda. So if we don't mention it in the chat, just make sure to check the agenda and it should be
It
right
works
there.
on my machine.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
Oh,
I
actually,
will
no.
do the
The
same.
device already used for this website. What the hell?
Oh, I have.
No, it worked. It worked. Yeah, it claimed itself
Okay.
after a while.
Amazing. 3, 2, 1, 0. Hang on.
Well, actually, no. This
Boom.
is 100 and... No, I don't have it.
Really? I've got
167?
167.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have it. It wasn't showing. I
awesome.
had to reload the page a couple of times.
Awesome. Awesome. We're back on track with the POAPs. We love to hear that. So yeah, grab your POAP, folks. And yeah. Hopefully it continues to work going into the future. We definitely need it to work for 169 because that's going to be a very important POAP that we want to distribute to you guys. Okay, cool. Well, thank you all very much for your time, particularly the Linear folks who came over and shared some insight about Linear. Yeah, we'll hope you learned something new and we'll support Linear. And if you have any questions, feel free to message. So yeah, appreciate everyone and we'll see you again same time next week.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.